Hey, this is Sapphire. You gotta come in with tonight's review of Once Upon a Time. Alright, so the episode starts off with Rumpelstiltskin pretty much having a nightmare. It's Henry's birthday, they're blowing out the candles, and Mr. Gold kind of looks like, a loving grandfather. Henry tells Henry to pick out anything he wants from the shop, so Henry picks out a wand. And Henry asks how it works, so Mr. Gold shows him, and then turns the board to plastic and then breaks him. Then he wakes up from the nightmare like, oh my goodness. Because it all goes back to what the seer had told him that the boy will be his undoing. So it's morning, and Neil and Henry is having like a little play sword fighting thing, and Gold is watching, and Regina comes up to his side and wonders why Neil, Bayfire is playing with Henry, and Gold looks at her like, you didn't get a message, and saying Neil is Henry's grandfather. So Regina's like, wait a minute, you're his grandfather? He's like, yes, we're one big happy family. Regina obviously is not happy about that. And then, shh, Queenie. And then, sorry, that's my cat. And then, Regina tells him that he could try to be all good they want, but they will never accept you because she knows this from firsthand, and that his darkness will always win. Later, we see Gold at the hospital, go checking up on Belle, and says, pretty much knows that, she knows that she can't remember him, but she always brings out the good in him. And he says he's gonna help her try to get her memory back. So he goes to find somebody, to discharge her, send her home. Later, we see Regina come into the hospital while Bella's packing up, getting ready to leave. And then Regina bends down, makes it in the magically appears this pair of matches, and she gives it to Belle, and she tells Belle to look at it. So when Belle looks at it, it's like some enchantment came over, and we see Regina smiling evilly. I'm like, oh my goodness, Regina, you're not gonna get Henry back this way. Be good, come on. So then, like with all episodes of Once Upon a Time, we got present, we got we got present, and we got past. So in this one, it's more into Belle and her time with Rumpelstiltskin. And this would be about, let's see. She was in her yellow dress, so this would be about time. Well, it would be in the episode Skin Deep when she first, after she made that deal to be his, servant, Rumpelstiltskin's servant. And so, she's his servant stuff, and she's crying in the dungeon, and he comes in like, oh my god, I cannot focus with you in the crying. So he gives her a pillow, and she's like, thank you. He's like, it's just used for you to cover up your crying because I need to focus. And then while he's complaining about her crying and stuff, he hears somebody breaking in. So Rumpelstiltskin goes to see what's going on. Belle follows him. And we see this man in a cape. And though he goes for this wand, and he's like, I got a magic arrow that's gonna always hit his target. And so he shoots the arrow on Rumpelstiltskin and hits him. And he thinks he killed Rumpelstiltskin, but Rumpelstiltskin cannot be killed. And so then he captures the man, ties him up. Now we back in. And we tomorrow and on discussing about the package they're gonna bring into town, and what their plans is gonna be from now on. Make sure that nobody figures out what they're really up to and stuff. Then we have Mary, David, and Emma going to check on Mary and David's taking Emma. I'll guess it's not really outside the town line because it's still in the town line because everybody still remembering who they are. So it's somewhat, quite a good distance away from, Storybook itself, but they're still inside Storybook, the Storybook line. And they go to show Emma the magic beans, which they had Mother Superior cloak them so they cannot be seen by anybody else. And Emma realizes that they want to go back to the Enchanted Forest, and was like, her home is here. And David and Mary's like, well, you could have a home in the Enchanted Forest too, because technically that's where you was born. We sent you here for your safety. And Then we go find.
And Mr. Gold, he goes back to Belle's room and realizes that she's gone, and you could hear the pissed offness in his voice when he talks to the nurse. He's like, "Where is she?" I'm like, "Oh snap, calm down." For a minute, I thought he was gonna kill the nurse, like so serious. With Belle missing, I thought he was gonna seriously kill that nurse. I was like, "Oh my goodness, he's gonna kill the nurse." Anyway, and then and he searched the room and realized that he found a pair of matches, and it leads him to a bar called the Rabbit Hole, which is, if you know what the rabbit hole means, it's a reference to Alice in Wonderland. And so he finds her, and she thinks that her name is Lacey, and she's sort of like this bad, sexual, sensual chick, which is, complete opposite of what, Belle is, she's like sensual and stuff. And he asked, did she borrow Red's clothing, Ruby's clothing, meaning Red Riding Hood, because we kind of see Ruby's clothing, she's like sexy chick, like she look like she might be on the corner or something. And so he realizes that Regina did something. So he goes and confronts Regina, and to reverse what she's done. She's like, no, and stuff like that. And, so he's like, he gonna make her fall in love with him again, because that's what. So Gold then, kind of lost at the moment. He goes to David, who is charming, and asks him for advice, like pretty much love advice, which I thought was kind of awkward. I'm like, Rumpelstiltskin asking Charming for love advice, because he asked him that even though him and Snow was under the curse, they were still able to find each other. If you watch season 1, we kind of know how all that went down. But the point is, even though they was under the curse, they still were able to still connect with each other and love each other. So he was like, asked him how was they able to do that. David said because there was still a piece of Snow and Charming within us that we could always find each other. And he says that just make her fall in love with you the way she did the first time. So then we have Gold go to the bar with Charming, sort of like his wingman. Asks her on a date. She's like, okay, I'll do it. Go on a date. So then we have him at the at Granny's. She orders like wine and steak or something, and he orders like tea and stuff, and and she says something that reminds him of when she was, when she remembers her, when she was Belle and stuff. And he's like, the look on his face when she says, I know there's good in everyone, is like, the look on his face was like, oh. He knocks over his tea, is like so nervous, and she goes to wipe it off. Then for a while, he's waiting for her to come back. He realizes that she's not in there, and so he goes in the bathroom, check it out, she's not in there. Then he goes aside, and he finds her like in the alley kissing this guy, who I will reveal later who he is, right? So he's like kissing this guy, and he's like, what are you doing? And she said, I only went out with you to be nice, but you're pretty much, her problem is with him, he's too nice. So we have Rumpelstiltskin later, just like, you know what, just walking away, and the dude comes in like, hey dude, I'm so sorry I didn't was with her. He's like, I'm not with her. He's like, oh really? Okay, good. So there's no problem with me, going out with her. He's like, you know what? Come to relieve of Rumpelstiltskin. He's like, you know what? He doesn't. He's like, me trying to be good doesn't see the point in being good anymore, because Lacey, aka Belle, doesn't want him. So he removes the man's tongue, and the man's like, "Oh my goodness, what just happened?" He's like, "That's." And Ruffle says, "So it's for when people want to hear you screaming," and he goes to beat him with the cane. I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" Then here comes Lacey, aka Belle, and she's like, she said, "So it's true that what people say about you?" And he's like, "Yes, it is true. I am dark and stuff, and darkness inside me." And guess what? It turns her on. I'm like, you gotta love Rumpelstiltskin. You gotta love the pair of Rumpelstiltskin and Belle. Like seriously, even with Rumpelstiltskin being dark, Belle will like him regardless. Whether she is her good innocent self or she's a badass, so she will love Rumpelstiltskin regardless. I love it. And then guess what happens? She likes the bad in him and likes the fact that he's, likes his evilness in him. And guess what he does? He continues to beat the crap out of dude, and she's sitting there watching like it's like this, like they at the movies, like this is like something you would do on a date, like, and she's just watching, and I kind of feel bad for her, for the poor dude, because it's like nobody, she's not even gonna try to stop this dude from beating the crap out of me. I felt so bad for the guy. I'm like, oh, that is so messed up. But it really was messed up though. I'm like, dang. I'm like, whew, I bet you won't kiss somebody else again. And so that was all the situation with Belle and Rumple. We have Emma, you know, due to the fact that she knows how, it's Bellfire and Rumple's dad, son. She's reading a fairy tale book, and Regina comes on and say you learn about your Henry's father's past and stuff, because they're in the book and everything. And she talks with Regina and stuff like that. And she realized, and Regina ended up realizing while talking to Emma that she's hiding something. So it's late night. We have David and the Doors coming in from work, and Regina, she walks up, waits for everybody to leave. She walks up to where the car was and does the magic spell, which traces the car's tracks. So the car tracks lead back to the beanstalk. So she removes the barrier and she realizes they're growing magic beans. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's not gonna be good. I'm like, what if she destroys the beans, or what if she uses the beans herself to go back to Enchanted Forest and try to rule all again? I'm like, oh my god, it's not gonna be good. So that's with Regina. Then we have with then we continue with the past storybook. We have Rumple's torturing the robber, and then he goes out to go get some more things, and Belle then releases the guy and stuff like that. Rumple then comes back, trying to continue to torture the guy, and realize that Belle, has let him go, and he argued with her like, why did you do that and such like that, and she's like, because he obviously he must have stole the wand for something reason, and was stole for some reason and stuff. And Robert Still's like, everybody who breaks into this stuff is obviously after magic, and nothing good can come from people who wants magic. And so then we have them in pursuit of the robber, where they run up to this guy. I'm guessing, and he says that the guy that he says, you're the dark one, so I want to make a deal with you. Give me a night with your wench, meaning Belle. And Rumpelstiltskin removes his tongue and says like, no, you're not gonna have her and so like that, but you're gonna tell me what I need to know. So he puts his tongue back in the guy, and the guy says that the guy you're after, he's pretty much been terrorizing Sherwood Forest. So that's your first clue to who this guy is. And he tells him that his name is Robin Hood. So I'm like, oh snap, it's Robin Hood. What? But he's still not as sexy as Captain Hook though. I'm just saying. And so I'm guessing the guy would be the king. I think it's King George. I can't remember the king from Robin Hood, but I think it's King George. I can't remember if you guys know the correct thing. Because as close as I know to the Robin Hood story is the Disney's version of Robin Hood. The Disney movie where they're foxes and stuff. And so they end up finding Robin Hood and find out he needed the wand to save this woman. And when he saves her and stuff, find out she's pregnant. And guess who she is? Lady Marian. And I'm like, oh snap. So Rumple goes to try to kill him, but the arrow missed and stuff like that. So Belle looks at him like, that's a magical arrow. It never misses. He's like, I slept up. And she hugs him and says, I know there's good in you. So later, Belle and Rumple go back to his place, um, and he tells her that she has to clean his room. Now, mind you, it's a library because he knows she likes to read. So I'm like, oh, I gave her. I just thought about that scene from the Disney's version of Beauty and Beast, where Beast takes her Belle into the room, but she has her eyes closed and she looks at the magnificent library of books that he had. That's kind of like that moment right there when he shows her the books. I'm like, oh, I just felt like playing music, like "Tell Us All Time." I don't know, but yeah, that was so beautiful. And so then, that's pretty much all that happened in past Enchanted Forest. And then with the rest of the story, we have Neil and Emma talking about stuff, going back to the Enchanted Forest and is Storybook safe and whatnot. And then we find Tamara and Owen meeting outside of town, and she said we got something that's gonna help us. She opens the freaking truck, and guess who she has tied up inside? Captain freaking Hook. I'm like, oh my goodness! Of all the people she want to use, she's gonna use Captain Hook, which makes sense because obviously he hates gold, but I think he has a crush on. No, actually, he's more of a flirt because he flirts with Mary Margaret and he flirted with Emma. But I think him and Emma will make such a cute couple, though. It'd be so cute. But I think Neil and Emma might get back together. But that was pretty much this episode's love Once Upon a Time, we got introduced to a new character, Robin Hood. Though I don't see him in present day storybook, so he might still be somewhere in a chant for us. So that's gonna be good. And also, we also got a glimpse of the magic lamp from Aladdin. If you watch the beginning part of Once Upon a Time, when the nightmare, we see the magic lamp. So Aladdin might soon become like a part of the storyline. So that'd be awesome, you know. But anyway, that was all for Once Upon a Time, and I'll see you guys next Sunday for the last two episodes of this season for Once Upon a Time. See you guys later. Deuces.